morning, good people. This is Regan Adams with All Things Regan. Thank you for joining me this morning on Regan Says. So it's turban time. I'm gonna make it turban time. Listen, I can't wait. For those days you didn't comb your hair like today, listen, it works. So y'all, check this out. This weekend went by super duper fast, and if you are family and I did not get to see you this weekend, I apologize. I really tried. It just wasn't enough time. So we will be back March. I'll let you know, because there's some people that I did inbox or call or whatever and say I'm going to be there, we're going to come and visit, and we didn't. There was literally no time. Like, I tried to put two business things and family stuff in the same pocket and it didn't work. There was not enough time for me to do everything I needed to do, but we will be back. I have to come back because I have to finish my event planning, and Kennedy has to see her people. So, well, I need to see y'all too. Y'all my people too. I'm married into the family, so y'all my people too. So we will be back. Long story short, and I apologize. So anyway, this weekend, I took Kennedy to Chicago with me, and I knew I didn't have time to like go to my site check for Chicago, so that was super whack. But we did get into the city and go to one of my favorite restaurants. So we went to Cafe Lux Cafe. It's my favorite, but who knows the name. Anyway, it's on Michigan Avenue. I love the ambiance of the place. Love it, love it, love it. The food is good, and it's a reasonable price. So when we got up there, we went up the escalator. So Kennedy, this is her first time going, so she was like super excited, and she saw all the chandeliers and the, you know, windows overlooking the city, and you know, she was just like, "Mommy, this is so fancy, and thank you so much for bringing me here, and you know, giving me this experience, and blah 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 blah." And just ranting and raving about the food, like, but that's her thing. But I tried to make sure that I give her as much experience with different, even with foods. So I'm gonna try not to be all over the place, which I already know. So when Kennedy was younger, like a baby younger, I always said that I didn't want her to be that child that always ate chicken tenders and fries or macaroni. Now granted, she eats that, but if we go to a restaurant, she more than likely won't get it. If there's something else like Alfredo or, you know, just different stuff. But I was very intentional on even giving her like asparagus and Brussels sprouts and squash at her early age. So that way she couldn't, you know, because you hear when somebody says squash, when you get a little bit older, it's automatically like, ugh, but you never tasted it, but you automatically don't like it. I didn't want her to do that. I wanted her to be able to try something without automatically hearing it or looking at it and saying, ugh. So for a child her age, she eats quite a bit of different types of food, but I did that intentionally. So kind of fast forwarding into this weekend's event, I am, along with myself, it's not just me, but several other women are hosting She's Just Like Me, an event, and it's really just an informational for mothers with daughters who are interested in, you know, having better relationships with your daughter. Also for your daughter to meet new friends and learning just how to cultivate different types of relationships and how to flourish in just their regular, you know, lives, and making sure that they're making good decisions about certain stuff, because we're not always going to be there. Also exposure. This weekend really showed me that exposure for your child is extremely important. When I was younger, I traveled quite a bit with my mother and mostly my mother. We were always out of town somewhere. I was in a singing group where we traveled a lot. We played basketball. I traveled. We just traveled quite a bit. And so I was used to going out and seeing different things, but everybody doesn't get that experience. And so I just think it's very important that even, like, not even just Knoxville, but if you live in just whatever area it is, I think it's important that your child gets out and sees other parts of the world, because everybody's not the same. So there's different cultures, races, just different things to learn about. And I don't want her to be in a box, you know. I want her to learn about different things. So I want to be intentional again on making sure she's cultured and making the correct decisions and making sure that I'm fostering a good relationship between us. But I know I can't do that by myself, and I know there's other mothers who want to be able to foster those relationships with their daughters and also make sure that they're cultured and, you know, just aware of the world. I know for me, growing up, and not to say anything bad about my parents, but I just think that, you know, I guess generationally we're used to, like, if we get in trouble or whatever, we're automatically used to getting hit. Nobody really sits us down to explain. We get hit and then they might say something on the back end, or, you know, and not that I'm against, you know, spankings or anything, but I rarely have spanked Kennedy. Like, it's very far and in between. What I wanted to do is make sure that I sat down and talked to her to where she understood what my expectations are, you know, and that we make sure that we're in agreement with what I want from her. And even if she needs something from me, because even as a parent and I'm older, I'm not always right. And there may be something that she wants to say, hey, mommy, I need you to, you know, do X, Y, and Z. And I don't want her to ever feel like I'm talking at her. I want her to feel like she has a voice. Now, not disrespectful, but that we can have conversation. And that way, when I open up that conversation, she's able to feel like she can talk to me more, even as she gets older. And so we went to, even after the Chicago thing, like, she was just ranting and raving about it all weekend. And I told her that I would bring her back. One of my Facebook friends sent me a link that it was a bookstore that a black-owned woman in business owns, and I was like, man, I wish I had seen this earlier, because I probably would have tried to take her, but we didn't have time. But we're going to go back and spend more time in Chicago, so I'm gonna take her. And I told her about it. So anyway, heading back the next day, I asked her, I was like, well, do you want to stop and get some brunch, or do you want to get, you know, go on the road or whatever? And she said, well, let's stop, because, you know, I want to talk to you. And, you know, I've been building my portfolio, because she sketches and she also wants to make clothes, but she has a really big sketchbook. So when we're on the road, that's what she kind of works on and kind of plugs in and listens to her music. So we pulled over. I found a black-owned brunch spot, which the food was really, really good. And I was, you know, we just talked. Like, I put my phone down and we just talked. And I was telling her that I had met with her teachers at school, and, you know, just basically, again, what the expectation is when she's at school, what I want her to do, you know, that she's smart, just reinforcing to her that she's smart, because I don't want to, like, talk at her and say, I talked to your teachers and they said, and blah, 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 blah. I don't want it to always be a negative thing. I want to build her up and then slide in the things that, you know, I need her to know. And the oh my gosh, I think that's probably the best conversation that we had today. Like, and you know, I pre-record these, so it is actually Sunday. I'm just getting off the road. So but I think that was the best conversation that we've had to date. And I really felt like I reached her. You know, I told her, you know, you're a lot smarter than I am. And she is. Like, Kennedy just gets it. Like, math, we got to work on it. But the other stuff, she just gets it. And she's very mature for her age. She's just a good kid. I mean, she's not perfect. Nobody is. But for the most part, she's a good kid. And she was understanding where I was coming from. And I was just telling her, like, look, you know, what the expectation was again, but also being a leader, learning how to choose your friends wisely, you know, not always being a part of the crowd. And, you know, I told her, like, dude, do you know who you came from? I'm a leader. Like, I'm a leader, and your dad's a leader, even though he's in prison. You know, that was one of the big things that attracted me to him, is that he was able to lead. Like, he, you know, wasn't always good, but there wasn't too much you couldn't tell him. Like, he always took the lead. He took command of the room. When he came in the room, he commanded the room. And I love that. And I'm somewhat the same way, even though I'm not loud. He's a little bit more loud and boisterous than I am. But you command the room. You set the tone for the room. And I said, you come from 2 leaders. And so what does that make you? And she said, I'm a leader. I said, absolutely. And so, you know, just having those conversations. And another thing, parents, we need to learn to confirm our children and speak positive into them, and not always, you did this and you did that. They get tired of hearing that. They need to hear some positive affirmations, positive reinforcements. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate you doing that. And I understand, especially if you're a single mother, you get tired. I'm tired. I got 1,000,001 things to do. But what I've learned is that I've got to prioritize my child into my schedule. Like I have to. And if I'm going to have these events for women and try to speak into women's life, I've got to affirm my own child. If my house is not right, my house is my first ministry. If my house is not right, I can't go and speak to other women and say, hey, you need to do this when my child is out here just willy-nilly. And so that was one of the big reasons I said I want to do She's Just Like Me. So we're going to do different events. And again, let me step back. This event or series of events are for mothers and daughters. And what we're going to do is just have different events that are going to cultivate the relationships between mothers and daughters, and just making sure they make wise decisions. We're not always going to be there, just with life things, talking about school and careers and money and just all kind of stuff, and even bringing their friends along. If you do not have a daughter and you're a mother and you want to volunteer with this, we're not doing like matchups and those type of things. That's not that type of party. But basically what I was explaining to a friend of mine last week was, you know, when we're in a big group together, like, because I always believe it takes a village to raise a family. It does. And when we're in a big group like that, like for instance, Kennedy's friend Tiara, her mother Kim, we have a lot of similarities in how we raise our child. So the values. So if we share the same values, and Kennedy is like, I like Miss Kim, sometimes Miss Kim can, you know, tell Kennedy the same exact thing that I'm telling Kennedy, but Kennedy might kind of do me like this, but she might listen to Miss Kim and what she had to say, even though we're saying the right thing. And so it's just really reinforcement, but not saying the kids don't know it, but we're all working together to make sure that the children learn and that they understand and that they're making good choices. And then also that we're building our own relationships with our mothers. So I'm just really excited about it. And it's this Saturday. So, and it's a free event. We're going to be doing it from 12 to 3. I'm going to drop the information below in the comment section. It's nothing like really formal. Just drop in. We'll talk to you about, you know, our upcoming events. We do have some that are planned. Again, this is not just my thing. There are other business owners. There are other women. We have a teacher that's in homeschool who enjoys doing different things. Like we have different women who love girls and they love helping, or they have children or daughters or what have you that want to help with this. And so I'm super duper excited about the upcoming events that we have. We're also going to have one big event each year, the mother-daughter retreat. And so basically we're going to go to Orlando. It is a weekend. It's going to be in the summer next year, next July. However, we're not necessarily going to go to Disney World. Now it's optional, so if you want to go, you can, and we'll be able to give you that information. But right now it is optional. It's a retreat for us to spend time together. Also the mothers, like we say mother-daughter, and we want to cultivate those relationships, but we also want to build the relationships with women among women, and you know that's my lane. We have women who aren't cultured at all. Like we say that we want to, you know, expose the children and the daughters to different things in different states and different cultures and things of that nature, but some of the mothers haven't seen much either. And so, like I said, we're all going to be working together to make sure that we are healthy, mind, body, and soul, and that, you know, we can just do more together. That's basically it. So come by this Saturday. from 12 to 3. It's at the Mark Nelson Denim in the back part, but I'll drop the information below on this video. I'm just really looking forward to seeing all the mothers and the daughters. I think this is going to be pretty big. It doesn't necessarily have to be big, but I want it to be impactful. That's the main thing. I know this weekend was a really big hit for my child. She loved seeing Chicago. She loved just hanging out. She loved talking to me in the car. She just kept saying, "Mommy, thank you. Thank you for talking to me. Like, I appreciate it. You didn't have your phone. You listened to me. You didn't yell at me. We were able to talk." And she appreciated that. And so I just want to be able to do more of that. And then also reinforce to the mothers that you have to take time for yourself to be able to step out and talk to your daughter too, because if you're frustrated and aggravated and all that stuff, you're not going to be able to talk to your child where they're going to understand and even care, because you don't want to be aggravated talking to them either. So getting plenty of rest and mental health, all that good stuff. So it's going to be like a lot of stuff, but it's going to be stuff to help us, and especially in the Black community. Side note, listen, if you're white, if you're Asian, if you're Latino, if you're whatever outside of Black, you are welcome at my events. I just had this conversation. Just because I'm African American does not mean all of my events are for Black women. That's not true. Black people, it's not. I am open for everybody. So you are welcome if you're non-Black, FYI. But it is very important. And I do want to reiterate that, especially in the Black community. I really want us to get together and just make an impact on our children, on our girls. Because sometimes, growing up, you hear, "Well, I wasn't close to my mom." And you probably weren't close because you were so much alike. And that's exactly why I named it She's Just Like Me. Because basically I'm trying to discipline the me out of my daughter, because we act just alike. Just what she was saying this weekend, "Mommy, we just alike." We are. And that can cause us to butt heads. And so that's a lot of the time, mothers and daughters. I don't get along with her because you're just alike. So anyway, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and head off here. I feel like I'm rambling as usual, honey. I'm going to get in here and wash my face and chill out like I'm on wind down. But I thank you for joining me this morning, and I hope you guys have a blessed rest of the week. If you need anything, inbox me. Please go ahead and start registering for the 90s event, the brunch. It's in a couple of weeks. Y'all don't have a lot of time. Y'all better get to it. allthingsregan.com. If you need anything, inbox me. I think that's it. Talk to you guys later. Bye.